Hey, I'm Kathy Hester, and today we're going to make a Dole Whip copycat that will blow your mind. It's super easy. There are two ways to do it, one with fresh pineapple, one with canned pineapple. The best part about it is if your pineapple is nice and sweet, you don't have to have any extra sugar at all. You make it ahead of time. I could make one for every day next week right now and then just spin them up. Take about 4 minutes right before I'm ready to have my perfectly healthy dessert every night. So this is a pineapple that I broke down earlier and some juice that I may or may not use. We've got some unsweetened non-dairy milk that I'm going to be using for this. You could use a little bit of vanilla as well. Typically you would. And you could use some coconut milk. And this is like just a cup. And sometimes you can get them even a little bit smaller at the Asian market, but they're great for using in things like this. So I'm going to use my Ninja blender, and I love this smoothie bowl blender. You guys have seen me talk about it before. So what I've learned is the contents of this is about a pint, which is what we're looking for our Ninja Creami pints. So there's the fill line, and we don't want to go above that. If we are going above it, we could always kind of add some more things and make it into 2 pints. And if there's enough here, though I don't think there is, we could go ahead and make 2 pints. So I'm just going to put my pineapple into here. If you saw the banana video, you could just smush it. I'm getting pineapple juice, so I'm going to get some. I like this Eli Home cutting board because I can save more of my pineapple juice because I've been doing a lot with pineapples. Usually if I'm using a can, I'm just using a small can. I use 1 whole can with the juice and I go ahead and put it together. And I say this is pretty close. We might be able to make 2 different ones. And I've got some of the juice, so I can use some of the juice, and that will help sweeten it as well. Do about half. Because again, I'm going to see if we can get 2 pints out of this, because this was one kind of small, medium pineapple. And usually this has a max fill as well. So let's find out once and for all if it's the same. Put like just a splash of vanilla. I don't like this to be too terribly vanilla-y. Okay, so that made short work of that. And let's see if this fits exactly right. And you can always vary the amounts. When I'm going to give a recipe, I'm going to give the exact amount. And some people will just put the pineapple, and I've done this too, a can of pineapple and everything. What I do find is you get some of those strings that come out of the pineapple, and I don't always find that as pleasant, so I like to blend it first. There you go. So I have this Miracle wet erase pen, which is super awesome. You could put things like fresh pineapple, not fresh pineapple. You could see if it was 1.5 cups that you got this time, which I'm thinking it was probably about 1.5 cups of pineapple that I used. Probably about 1/4 cup of juice. I did 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla, and then the rest with almond milk. Again, you can just put Dole Whip and then you'll know what you have in the fridge. So you'll see why we need to store this as flat as possible when we go to spin it next. So my awesome Dole Whip has been freezing for actually over 24 hours. And once the wet erase marker gets some humidity or some wetness on it, this is what happens. It starts to come off. So that's one thing. If you know you're going to put this back in and you have important information, I just put a little faux Mickey on there. All right. So one of the most important things is, can you guys kind of see that little bit of a hump? I think you can. And you can also see that it's just not perfect. So you can see this hump here, and all I'm going to do is take, this is a tablespoon, and it scratches off just like a granita would. I just want to level this so that it doesn't affect the paddle. So like this is the Creami blade, and what happens is there's a pole that goes through it and it goes down there. So if it's off center, it can be problematic for the blade and it can give you some issues. We don't want issues. And this is like really ridiculously easy. Then I'm just going to take all this and smooth it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we just don't want to have a big lump that could make the blade turn sideways instead of going straight down. And it also doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. You just want it to be pretty much close enough. And you can sneak a taste. This is one of my favorites. So remember, we've got these things on the bottom that match up in here. If it's not in right, it won't stay. So that holds it in place while this comes down. You can see right here, there's a little lock, and there's a line, there's a line. And I always just kind of have to juggle it on there a little bit, and you hear it snap. That's how you know it's on well. And later, this is so you can take the paddle out. You do not want to mess with it right now. Okay, so I've got this all together here. I wanted to show you a little bit up here. So we've got some different buttons. We have the power button, respin, mix in, ice cream sorbet, light ice cream, smoothie bowl, gelato, and milkshake. So the milkshake setting, you would put scoops of ice cream that you don't have to make in the Ninja Creami and some non-dairy milk, and it will blend it like a milkshake. We'll do one of those later. The sorbet button is probably what I would put this on, or the smoothie bowl, just because it's all fruit and a little bit of juice. So that's one way. Light ice cream is really meant to do something like sugar-free, fat-free, which is a lot of what we're doing. So if we find that things are looking powdery after this, we're going to talk about a few things that we can do to fix that. It's really easy. Okay, and mix in is like if I do this and then I want to mix in maybe some shredded coconut or something like that. We're not doing any of that today. All right, so the first thing we want to do is turn it on. So you're going to sit it with the handle facing out, because this isn't exactly. So what's under here is a little base that's going to come up. So you have to hook into this. So we're just going to put it in here, then we're going to pull it up until it snaps in place. Once it snaps in place, you can kind of see that these light up. So we can pick one. We're going to pick, we could do smoothie bowl or sorbet. It doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to do sorbet. And what I want you to do is that blade that's up here, that pole is coming out, and it's going to come down here and you'll be able to see some of it. Right about there. Okay, when it starts making that sound, it means it's down near the end and it's starting to come back up the blade, so you can see that spin there. Now it's here. And you can see everything kind of turning around because now it's all loose. So you can tell up here how far along it is. That means it's pulling it up right there. The blade is coming up. Okay, to remove it, we have to press this button here and see, did you see how it kind of already released it? And then we just press it and then that comes down. Now you'll notice sometimes this might have a little something on it. I usually take a wet paper towel. It's self-cleaning for the rest of that post though, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so now what we have to do again is we're going to press. There's a thing that says lid, we press that and it opens up. We can see the blade, we can see the creamy texture. To me, this looks pretty close. Okay, so one of the tests to me is how creamy does it look if you mush it with a spoon? If it doesn't want to mush with a spoon, you need to respin it. You could use respin or you could just use the sorbet setting again. Also, another thing that you're going to notice is that there's a very thin edge right here that is icy. So sometimes I will come through and get that ice mixed in and then respin it one more time. That's totally up to you. If I'm going to just eat half of this, then I don't do this. Let's say I looked at this right now and I'm like, I don't really want any. I changed my mind. I'm just going to spread it out thin, put my lid back on and put it back in the freezer. Then I can respin it again. Even if I only eat half of this and put it back in the fridge, I can respin it again another day. Now, where that's not necessarily the case if you put mix-ins, but I don't think you're going to put mix-ins on this. What you could do is put a scoop in a cup and maybe put a little bit of rum or 0 alcohol rum. I'm using Liar's Spirit right now, and you can make yourself a little mocktail. Another way to tell is just by scooping it. So I just take a scoop in here, and while you don't want to ever use this kind of OXO scoop, it's a cookie scoop on hard ice cream, it works great in here. But see how nice it makes scoops? And another thing I like to do is use these smaller OXO scoops, because you could have a medley of ice cream. You guys, this is so good. This is nothing but pineapple juice. If it had been a little crystally or crumbly, what I would have done, because there was a hole in the middle to begin with, is I would have just poured a little bit of non-dairy milk and respun it. So what does it mean when it's a little bit too crumbly? Sometimes it means that your freezer is too cold. I'm not turning down my freezer. So what you can do is let this pint sit out for about 5 to 10 minutes. You'll figure it out. Or just go ahead and respin it. It only takes about 2 to 3 minutes to spin it, depending on what cycle that you pick. To clean it, it's easy peasy. I'm going to turn this over, pull this, take the blade out, wash these two. Everything, including the pint and the lids, are dishwasher safe. I'm not putting the lids in the dishwasher because I just want to make sure to preserve them. Some people have been saying they're a little bit loose. Anyhow, I hope you enjoy your Disney treat at home.